Hi all, it's Matchbook Horse Racing podcast time. It's another moderate week or quiet week off the back of York, which was fantastic. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed it. Highlights this week from Sandown, Chester and Beverley. Joined by Steve Jones and Micheál Deasy to preview the pick of the action. We're actually swerving the opener on the ITV card because we had no bets, and it's bets we want. So plenty of bets from here on in. Don't forget to like, follow and subscribe wherever you're listening. It is the best no-cost way of supporting our podcast if you enjoy it. 150 at Sandown then is where we start. We're going to go in race card order. Dees, you and I agree with the previous winner here, Lyndon B. He probably needs to bounce back to a bit of form. Why?
Well, he's come down a good bit in the handicap now this year. He started off the year 85. He's running off 80 today, but that's on the back of a good run last time. Ran very well at Newbury, probably better than finishing second. He was three-quarter length second to Woodstock. Didn't get a lot of luck in running, but finished off the race very well. He's been running fairly well all year without winning. He's never been beaten that far, so I think he's at the price. He's a nice win place bet in this, I think.
Yeah, agreed. We know that he likes it here. Last time was encouraging. That was something of a bounce back to form. So I at 7.0 or there or thereabouts, I thought he was a fairly solid shout, but I wouldn't go over the top. But off a mark of, I know, back up to 80, but we know on previous peak form, when just with John Flint, I thought he could feature on his sort of ground as well. This is the sort of surface he wants. Who are you with, Steve Jones?
Havana Blue. I'm a bit surprised this horse is the price that he is, 9.5. For a last time out winner. And he was a dual winner last year for Clive Cox. Then he went to Julie Camacho, who's had a little bit of a difficult season, but her horses are running much better now. And she's clearly struggled to find the key to Havana Blue. It's simple as that. They gave this horse a breathing operation after one run for the new yard. Then they tried a hood, which didn't work. Tried dropping in as well, which, albeit the Havana Blue had won using those tactics last year. Then went up to a mile, keeping the hood. But last time it all came together. Prominent ride, hood off, and fast ground at 7 furlongs. And that's exactly what the conditions are today. I expect Ryan Sexton to ride this horse handy, and I just thought it was underestimated considering it's still well enough handicap. It was only nudged up for that Beverley win, which was a good effort. It's a slight rise in grade, but I thought that was a competitive enough race last time, beating Olympic Candle, who a Godolphin horse who had the potential to put in a decent effort. So and Orban was in there. We've seen him a million times. So I thought there was Havana Blue was just overpriced in what is quite an open race.
All right, a couple of shouts for Lyndon B. Havana Blue going up as well. We move on to the feature at Beverley. For some of the feature on the day, the Beverley Bullet. You've got a couple going up, D. So I'll start with you. I take it they're half decent prices.
They were half decent prices last night. They're after coming in a bit. I've gone for the 2-3-year-olds. I've gone for Blue Storm and I've gone for Staincliffe. I'll just get Staincliffe mentioned. So this is only his third run, and she's been fairly thrown in here now. But she finished second on debut at Sandown, despite running very green, ran on very well, and then won next time out at Newcastle. Has had a little pipe up. Now she's been off a long time. She'd a run there at Windsor there 2 weeks ago, won it at 1-6, but won very, very well. One going away from them. And the 5 furlongs at Beverley is an incredibly stiff finish, and she's already proved that she's kind of handled a stiff finish at Sandown. I think it's interesting that she's thrown in here, and a good time for Jack Channon. I think he's having a really good year. And same with Blue Storm. I think probably been held back for this. Hasn't run over with over 2 months, but was last seen finishing a very good second in the the one with the silly name, the Palace of Holyrood House Stakes at Ascot. Previous to that, one of the Epsom. They're getting weight, but they both enjoy stiff finishes in sprint races. So I'm just going to have a little half point on both of them and maybe stick them into a reverse forecast as well. just for the crack, because I think that it's all the rest of them are very well exposed, and these two could have plenty of improvement in them.
That definitely sounded like half pint to me, just so you know, which is probably a bit much for 9:30 in the morning.
Half point, yeah.
We're with previous course and distance winner Clarendon House, who, I mean, obviously dropped massively in grade from 8 days ago, but that's not necessarily the angle. It's more that the horse absolutely loves it here. Suits his running style, which is hopefully that he starts, because we all know what happened to Epsom. I think at this track, Steve, he's the best horse in the race for me. What do you think?
Which one?
The one we're teaming up with. Oh, sorry, Democracy Dilemma. Democracy Dilemma.
Yeah,
apologies. I was going to select Clarendon.
I thought it was the royal way when you were saying way. I thought, Christ, he's got even posher overnight.
Do you know what? So I've written, and I did this at York, by the way. I got these two muddled up, and I don't know why I'm getting the cow horses muddled up. So I'm not with your horse. I'm very much with Clarendon House. I don't think Democracy Dilemma will stay here. So I've just written it wrong in the document. I don't think Democracy Dilemma will see out this track at Beverley. I think he'll get caught late on, and the case I made for Clarendon House stands. So I'm with Clarendon House. You are with Democracy Dilemma.
Yeah, there's a chance that he might get run down in the closing stages, but he's got a lot of speed, and I think he might just have enough rope to hold on. He's the one that'll go forward. He'll make the running, and he ran really well at York last time. And that at York, it wasn't the flat 5 furlongs. It was 5 furlongs and 89 yards. And I know that this is a stiffer track, but he was certainly seeing out that sort of distance. The flat 5, I think that stretched him at 5.5 furlongs. But I think he might just have enough rope to hold on. He goes well on turning tracks, and although it's not a sharp turn, it is a bit of a bend at Beverley, and I think he might just be away and gone. And he's been tried 3 times in listed races before. The most recent of those was over the flat 5 at York, when the blindfold came off late and he had to use a bit of energy to get a position. And he was only beaten a couple of lengths by Starlust in that race, and Starlust went on to win the Nunthorpe. It wasn't a hugely strong opinion, because I don't think it's a hugely strong race. I wanted to take on Comanche Falls because that one hasn't done much running over 5 furlongs, albeit the most recent time, or I think it's the only time that Comanche Falls has run over 5, was runner-up at Haydock in a listed race. But I just think the Democracy Dilemma, his speed might just be able to get that one on his head. And I think he might get them all on their head. So I'm hoping the Democracy Dilemma's got enough petrol to see out the finish.
All right, Democracy Dilemma. Clarendon House for me, half point each way, Staincliffe and Blue Storm for Micheál Deasy. We move on to the 225 at Sandown. It's the Atalanta Stakes. Nothing for me, because I thought Tamfana confused it. My starting point was 2.0, she'll go and win. And then the more I look at her last few starts, like distance, slight question mark. Moreover, she's just turning into a slightly unlucky, disappointing filly, and that just rules her out for me. But I don't exactly want to take her on. I am leaving it alone. Steve?
She was the reason I wanted to get involved, to be honest. She takes like such a huge chunk of the market, and I don't think she deserves to. And Doom is a typical William Haggis filly for me, who just keeps on improving bit by bit by bit. Nothing spectacular, but just keeps on progressing. Is now a 4-year-old. And these sort of Haggis horses, they keep improving. And that was a really good couple of runs at Ascot the last twice. In the Group 2 at Royal Ascot, I quite fancied doing that day. She didn't really get the run of the race. It was a bit rough. I was in the Duke of Cambridge Stakes. And she was third to Running Lion, who hasn't done a lot for the form, but you can put a line through that run that Running Lion put in at the Palmer Stakes. It was just too bad to be true. So I still think it's a positive race form-wise. And then second to Friendly Soul, who's really progressive and went on to win a French Group 2 next start, and saw it out pretty well. I think a repeat of that would certainly see Doom go close. And I think there's every chance that we'll see another step forward. A horse that likes this mile trip, likes fast ground, and a progressive filly. She's another one overpriced, especially with the 9 runners winning place. You're getting 3 places. I think that's, I don't like saying bet to nothing, but I think that's a really nice bet.
And Dees, you're sort of anti-Tamfana. Is that your starting point?
I was the very same as you. I wouldn't back her, but I wouldn't like to lay her either, because I think like if she can produce anything like she did in the 1,000 guineas, she should be very hard to beat. But there's 3-4 in her form, so a lucky loser. And she's entered over a mile and a quarter, and a mile over the next over the rest of the season. So I don't think maybe he's got a handle on what her best trip is. So like Steve, I thought it was a good race for a win place bet. I'm going to go for the last time out winner, the Schwazia. Is that how you pronounce it? The Cresford horse. Won a Haydock the last time. She 2-0 at the start of the season in April. Maybe they gave her a break. Came back and won fairly well. I know that they said that, like she hung a bit left there in the last 110 yards. But maybe she hit the front and just got a bit excited. One of the big price beaten Delabel, beat Naomi LaPaglia, who every horse in this race seems to have beaten at some stage this season. It's just a big price. I can see her. She can hold up the form and progress another small, but I can see her hitting the frame. So I'll go for her for win place at about 12.0.
A couple of shouts in the Atalanta Stakes. Then we move on to Chester. Couple of big prices going ahead between the two of you. First of all, you're with Boardman at 15.0. Whoever's most confident, speak first.
Steve Edmund, I let him go. Yeah,
I'm mad confident. I really fancy this horse. Who's got plenty of form around Chester. It's interesting that everyone wants to low draw, especially around the short trips at Chester. But this season, I think I'm right in saying there's been 4, maybe 5 races over this, just shy of 7 furlongs, 127 yards. There's been 4 or 5 races, and I think all but one has been won by double figure stalls. So I don't think the draw, whatever they've done at Chester to try and negate the draw, I think it's worked, whether it's the ground's a bit slower on the inside or whatever it is. But anyway, it means you can win from anywhere. But saying that, Boardman's got a stall force. Anyway, got plenty of form around Chester. Has come down the weights a long, long way. Now, the last 3 years, Boardman has won 1 race over this course and distance in each of those 3 years. Yet to win this season, but this time last year was a lot higher in the weight, something like £10 higher at this time last year. And the key thing with this is, I mean, he's going to need the brakes, Boardman, no doubt about that. But with the draw being a little bit different these days, I think there's more chance to be able to pick your way through, especially in the straight. And there's a huge amount of early pace in this, including from horses out wide. So they're going to have to go forward. And I think this is going to be run at a real gallop. And it's going to help set it up for Boardman. He'll swoop late. I think he's a really, really good bet. He's, 15? I think he's got a monster chance.
Yeah, very same for me.
What would you like to add, Dees?
Not much. Like it's been won from stall 4, 2 of the last 4 years. It's really a price play on him. Like he's a big price for a horse that has this much form around Chester. Even his last run there, I know he finished 5th to Yannifer at the start of August, but he was unlucky there. He was flying home at the end of it. He was kind of boxed in a bit and had to get out. Once he got room, he came flying home. He was only beaten 2 lengths. Yeah, I think he's a great bet in this. So yeah, equivalent for Busy 14.0. Yeah, have a good each way cutting them.
My starting point was to be well against Carry the One, the run style. I mean, I've supported the horse lots this season, but that I just don't get it here. Just it's not happening for me. I think he's still well treated, but round here, I'm not convinced. For all that sort of run styles and draws have been slightly negated, I can't believe he's going to be a natural bedfellow for this track. Yannifer likes it here. Was a winner here when last seen. Obviously, this is a slightly different trip with an extra half a furlong. Really good course form. Last 2 starts have been a win and a third here. And the key is the pace that Steve mentioned. There's loads of pace on to help the horse settle, because that can be his biggest undoing. He'll need to settle. The York run's a good piece of form prior to that, and I still think he's upwardly mobile off 93. So Yannifer for me at 8.0. Okay, we move on to the 3 o'clock at Sandown. You two are in agreement again. You can make the case first, DC, this time.
Yeah, gone for involvement here. I've had my eye on him all year. He finished, I think there's another race he covered there, the Haydock race behind Nelly Lilacs, start to May. I didn't give him a chance that day, but he was well backed before it, and finished second. Ran very well in the Britannia, and finally got his win then next time at Newmarket, beating Royal Power. Look, I think he's probably a bit better than a handicapper, even though he hasn't shown it yet. I can see him going off favour for this. No, it's not the strongest argument, but I just think he's probably a lot better than 102. Balmacara has run very well this year, but there's something about. I was just watching last night, and I was like, I think he mightn't stay, even though he stayed last time at Sandown. I saw him. I think there was 2 races this year where he just completely faded out of it the last 2 times. So I just went for involvement ahead of him. I don't give any of the rest of them a chance at all. So it was between the top 2, and I'm just sticking with involvement.
Yeah, I think you need to unmute. But yeah, I agree. Involvement. I'm not totally.
Steve, what would you like to add, sir?
I'm gonna add the involvement. It's a tricky race. I'm not mad keen. I wouldn't be hugely strong. I wanted to take on Balmacara, who's up there, because this would be the first time that Balmacara is run on fast ground, and that would worry me about him. Involvement ran respectably in a listed race in France last time, and it was quite a decent listed race, because Ombudsman looks a really prospect of the Gosdens, and it was just kind of a outclassed kind of run from Involvement, but still with a bit of credit. And you go back to Newmarket, that handicap win, I quite like that, considering there was it was deep enough. There was a lot of unexposed horses in there, as you would expect in a 3-year-old handicap at this time of year, or at the July meeting. And so yeah, Involvement for me, but not madly strong.
All right. I think Tom is having some Wi-Fi issues, so we'll jump on there to the next race. The next race is the 3:15 at Chester. It's mile 6, the Chester Stakes listed race. Steve, I'll let you start away on this, on your pick, which is Fairbanks.
Yeah, I'm really interested in Fairbanks in this race. Again, hopefully it'd be the dead 8. Hopefully they all stay in, because I think Fairbanks winning place is a really good bet. If Fairbanks hadn't run in the E-Ball last week, when he got no sort of run, he was hampered in kind of halfway round, and then when they got into the straight, he didn't have any room to deal with, and he finished way down. So I'm putting a line through that. Before that, he was one of the most progressive stayers in the country. He was kind of mirroring Align the Stars. And I know Align the Stars didn't run very well at York in the Lonsdale Cup, but that's a Group 2. And I always think with the Johnson horses, certainly Mark Johnson, they used to turn up at York and they used to run shocking races. And I think that might have just been the way with Align the Stars. So I'm still very, very positive on that line of form from Goodwood. When Fairbanks put it down to align the stars, and there was a neck between them. Great Bedouin was back in third, who's come out and run well at York subsequently in a decent handicap. So I'm really strong on that. And so natural progression suggests that Fairbanks, who's done a hell of a lot of winning in his time, I think he's won 5 of his last 10 starts. The natural next step was to go into listed races, and that's exactly what he's doing around Chester. Is a horse that likes to race on the pace, which you'd imagine was ideal. And he's also got visor back on. He's won blinkers the last 3 starts, and he's got a visor on again, which he wore 7 times and won 4 races. And he is a horse who responds to a switch of headgear. He won in wearing a visor for the first time. He won when wearing blinkers for the first time. And if that sparks him up, I think he just gets on the speed, keeps galloping. And I think they're going to have to go some to catch this one. I think he's a really good price at 13.0, purely because last week in the Ebor, he finished down the field, but that doesn't tell the whole story. So Fairbanks for me with a winning place.
Yeah, there's a good chance he'll go off shorter than that. I think you're getting a bit of value if you're backing him today. The one I like is I like Samui. I like Gordon Elliott's horse. I think that he is really making hay while the ground is good. No, that's not the actual saying, but you know what I mean. He's been out of the top 2 in his last 4 runs since May, and that's been good to farm ground. Just unlucky at York. He just ran into one, giving away loads of weight there to Extensio. Great run off top weight in that handicap. He's dropping back in trip here. I know that he probably won't have run anywhere like Chester before, but he won very, very well at Killarney the time before that. And Killarney is quite a tight track with tight turns. So hopefully he can he can repeat that and finally get another win on the board here. He's 6.0, so I'll just go win only on him. I'd say Tom is still gone. For anyone who's interested, Tom is interested in last year's winner, Shanro, at 17.0. We move on to the next race there now, Steve. The last race of the day is Sandown, the 335. I was going to put up the horse that you put up there as well, probably the ones to the top of the market, but I didn't want to keep copying you. So I'll start off this time. I like Hot Shot at a big price. I couldn't see really why he was the price he was. If you go back to his debut, he was beaten by 2 1/4 lengths by Wimbledon Hawkeye, who finished within 2 lengths of the line in Winter at York last week, which gives it a decent boost to the form. And even in that race, the Hot Shot ran very green, and when they just cut across him in the last 100 yards, and he didn't get a chance to finish out his race. He could have finished closer. He finished in a dead heat the last time again at Goodwood. Again got boxed in, had to get out late to get his run, and flew home. You'd forgive someone that at Goodwood, especially a young horse. He's in here now, and he's after losing the prices here now. 2 seconds. He's 17.0 here, and going through the top ones, I know Field Gold could be a very good horse, but I think there's probably a bit of his trainer and connections is built into the price. I don't see why Hot Shot should be a 17.0 shot. I can definitely see it hitting the top 3 or 4. Richard Hughes is starting to build up his stable and is getting going, and I think he's a nice bet at 17.0. And at the top of the market, I think the other one worth backing is over to you, Steve.
Yeah, Maturi Bay. I'm really keen on this one. It's been won by some horses. There's 2 Darn Hot won it, Silver Knot won it, and it does throw up decent horses. Maturi Bay has only run once and won once. And when horses trained by Rafe Beckett do that, I always think that they usually end up to be quite smart, because Rafe Beckett, in similar fashion to a trainer like William Haggis, their patient approach. They don't like them absolutely gunned for their first start. So the fact that Maturi Bay was able to win first time up, despite missing the break, a little bit slow at the stalls, as horses often are on their debut, but came home really well, and he's got a really good pedigree, Maturi Bay. is related to a Breeders' Cup winner, Grade 1 winner, and loads of group races as well. So the pedigree points to the fact that he might be a group up to this group level. The first impression from Leicester certainly says that, and the form is stacked up as well, because he beat a horse called Shah, George Bowie's, where Shah was runner-up at York in the Convivial Maiden. I think that's still the richest, the most valuable maiden in the calendar, and it is usually won by, and it usually contains several group performers. So the fact that Maturi Bay was able to beat a horse of that standard first time up, being trained by Rafe Beckett, I think it was really interesting. So I'm confident Maturi Bay is going to win the Solario Stakes. Tom was surprisingly enough going for a sting on. Oh, he's back. I was going to say he was going for a sting on the favourite, Field of Gold.
Yeah, what did I miss? First of all, I'm surprised nobody's gone for the Jeff Smith horse, because I was between Field of Gold and that for me. I was massively impressed with Field of Gold last time. Was very good on the clock, and I sort of said to myself, I think they were toying with the Acomb or this. They've come here, but that's where Gosden tends to go with his very good horses, and I think that's half the reason the Acomb had so much depth to it, because they're a bit scared of it. Yeah, sort of more of a quite a confident play on the day. Anyway, I think he's a very smart 2-year-old. I don't think I need to backtrack on anything, because it's not going to be that interesting, isn't it? So let's, in fact, because I'm going to come to my Shanro bet anyway when we get there in the Matchbook Zero long shot. So that's good at Chester. Steve, you got one other bet, 350 at Chester.
Mute.
See, Tom being back has put me off. It always happens. Due for Luck in the 350 at Chester, who drops into the lowest grade of handicap that he's ever run in. And you could say he's gone off the boil. He started the season well. He was only beaten half a length by Nix in a race over this course and distance earlier on in the season. On his return to action. That was at the May meeting, I think, and backed it up by finishing third from a very wide draw at Epsom, where he dived up the inside and he just got stopped everywhere. He was trapped against the rail. He couldn't get out, and then when he did get out, I took off and was only beaten a length or so by Blue Storm, who he'd beaten previously. So it's easy to say he was pretty unlucky there, and since then his form's not been as good, but there's certainly things haven't gone his way, sort of thing. He's been held up in races where it didn't suit the pace, and last time they decided to try and negate that by going forward, and they probably rode him way too handy that day. I think he should get a nice lead in here. John and Sean Quinn, father and son training combination. They sent 2 horses to York last week. They both won, so their team's in good form. And like I say, dropping into the lowest grade that this horse is running in handicaps, it means he's slipped down the handicap, and that's through no real fault of his own. It's circumstance. So I thought he was massively overpriced. Due for Luck. He's what is he? I think he was 13. So yeah, Due for Luck, 350 at Chester.
Matchbook Zero long shot. Matchbook Zero goes live at 10 a.m. each day. You know that's the best way of getting a bigger price, because there's zero margin, zero commission, and you're likely to get a better price than with a sportsbook with an exchange anyway, let alone with Matchbook Zero. That's live at 10 a.m. each day for a win bet. Mine is with Shanro in the staying contest at Chester, second outsider of the field. Good course form a couple of starts ago. Don't really know why he's as big as he is. And on official ratings, which Steve loves, he's not far off those, way ahead of him in the betting. It's about 17.0. I couldn't really work
Fine. All right. Keep going. Tom's gone. We can still see you, Tom. Can you hear us? This is really good.
No.
Shanroe in Chester for Tom.
Professional operation.
Yeah. This is bringing me back now to a couple of years ago when it was Wi-Fi issues and muting the whole time. My one is Hot Shot in the 335 in Sandown, and you, Steve, your long shot.
Yeah, Boardman, the same one we agree on. That's 240 at Chester, fast pace, Chester, and he's going to get the perfect setup. So Boardman for me.
Best job. We have no layers for the weekend, so we'll move on to the best bets. Tom is one of the Cole horses in the Beverley Bullet. He's still not sure. Steve, yours is?
Maturi Bay in the Solaria Stakes for Rafe Beckett.
Brilliant stuff. And mine is involvement in the 3 o'clock in Sandown. And that's it. That's a wrap. Thanks very much, Steve. Enjoy your you're on a hotel room there. Are you away for the weekend, or are you?
Yeah, I'd say that Tom could do worse than booking a hotel room every Friday for the match, but might get better Wi-Fi maybe.
Yeah. Tom has told us before that there's 8 children in his house, so we're presuming that they're after chewing through the wires upstairs for the Wi-Fi. We hope he's all right. That's great. Thanks very much, and we'll see you again next week. Goodbye.